Hey my YouTube beauties and bows, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. My name is BeautiFAHT and we're about to talk about some eyebrows. So in this look you see two different eyebrows. I have a brow that I did with a pencil and I have a brow that I did with brow powder. So this video is going to help you decide which brow look is best for you. Is it with the pencil or is it with the powder? Stay tuned and let's see. So the first thing that I try to do is start off with a clean base. I always take a cotton ball and some alcohol and clean my brows. Well, I clean my whole face, but I've already put some moisturizer on my face and I don't want to take the moisturizer off. So first thing we're going to do is just make sure these brows are clean and they don't have any oil from, you know, the moisturizer that I use on them. The next thing I do is make sure I have a clean base of getting rid of like the little tiny hairs that have grown. So I take my tweezers and I pluck all these little hairs that I see. All these little extra hairs, I try to pluck them out. I had to turn on the light. I know you guys, I thought maybe you could see, but you couldn't see as well as I thought. So anyway, here I am just removing the hair that we don't need. Alright, so when you're satisfied with how you cleaned your brow, now it's time to line them up. Okay, so there are times when I use I use brow powder. So I use brow powder most of the time, and there's a light brown, a medium brown, and a charcoal in here. That is what I use most of the time. But when I want them to appear darker, I use pencils. And I use this light brown, which looks to me more like a reddish brown. I use this dark brown, and I use a black. For today's video, we're going to use the pencils. And I mean, just depending on how this video goes, I may do the powder on the other side just so you can see the difference. We'll just see. But first, we're going to take this, the light brown, and we're just going to do this inner portion of the brow. This portion right here. Okay, disclaimer. I can't see up close. So when I try to pull up close to the camera so you can see, I can't see what I'm looking at. So it's easier for me to stay back a little bit. So I apologize if something doesn't look right. I can't tell what is going on in the camera when I'm up this close because it hurts my eyes. So anyway, that was just a little disclaimer. So let's get started with this first piece. And I always go with the natural line of my eyebrows. You don't have to, especially if you you want a different shape. You line your brows in whatever shape you want them to be. So that's the first brown. Now the dark brown. And when I use the middle color, I always take it to like where my brow curves, and that's where I stop. Like so. Then the black. The black is what I use at the tail of my brow. And again, I use my brows natural shape as an outline. You don't have to. You can draw a shape, which I end up kind of freestyling a little bit, especially at the tail end of my brow, because I don't really have a tail end of my brow. like so. Then you take whatever spoolie you like to use. I have an Old Faithful. I probably had this thing 8, 9, 10 years. And then you just take those colors and you blend them all together, fading the innermost portion of your brow and blending in the rest of the brow. You want the colors, you don't want to see a line of demarcation. You want the colors to mesh in together. And while I'm doing this, I'm also brushing my hairs in the direction I want them to go in. You brush and fade as you go. Now, we're going to do the lineup with the makeup before we finish the fade on the inside. Okay, so I use foundation for the inner portion bottom of the brow and for the entire top of my brow. And the foundation I prefer to use is by Maybelline Matte Plus Flawless, and I use the color 335. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me, and I just grab a brush that I'm comfortable with using, and I do not start right at my brow. I kind of start a little bit below the brow. That way you have room to push it where you want the lining of your brow to be. I'd rather have to keep grabbing product than to have grabbed too much product in the beginning. And then you just find where you want to start sculpting your brow, and you sculpt it. Sculpt it into the... In another video, we're going to talk about wrinkle lids. When you have really loose wrinkled lids, it is very difficult to sculpt your eyeshadow and eyebrows how you want to, the shape that you want it to be. I'm sorry if you can't see this. I'm hoping you can. Same thing with the top. And then you fade that out. You don't have to work on this much because you'll actually continue to fade out when you get ready to do your makeup. So that's the top. Now to do this brow bone, that's where I use concealer. I've grown to love to use is by Tarte. It's called Double Duty Beauty. Double Duty Beauty, and it's the Shape Tape. I can't tell if this is showing you clearly or not. I apologize if it isn't. So I just take and put the product on the brush however I need it to be, and I start right here as it curves. See that? And if I feel, oops, I can't talk and do this. Hold on. Okay, and if I feel I'm not happy with the shape, I just keep shaping it. I keep shaping it until I like what I have. And you go back and blend that out. Simple as that. Blend it out. To finish blending out, I use this brush. This is an old faithful brush of mine. I take this brush, I mean, you can see how old it is. All the paint has come off of it. But the old brows work the best to me. And I just blend all that product together. Because for those of you that are going to use, that are going to be putting on some eyeshadow, you're going to need this product to be blended out. I'm not going to be putting on any eyeshadow. You'll see what I'm doing with my finished makeup look. So I just blend that out like so. Okay, so then I take my color Fit Me brow powder, face powder in the color 355. And I get rid of all that extra color. I just blend it out. I blend all of that out. Now, for the continuous fade, if I'm not satisfied with how much the inner portion of my brow is faded, this is the time I take the opportunity to fade it some more. You see that? That's enough for me. But I'm going to take my spoolie and just make sure I brush those hairs back in an upward direction. And that's how you fade your brow, the inner portion of your brow out. Now I'm going to try to make this a little bit closer. Again, I cannot see if it's not going to focus in, so I apologize if it doesn't. And that is with the pencil. And before we complete our makeup, we're not done with our makeup, so this is just what the brow needs to look like before you complete your makeup. Now, like I said, I didn't know whether or not I was going to want to, but now I'm going to use the brow powder instead of the pencil, and let's see what difference it makes. So the rest of this video is going to be sped up, and I'm going to do a voiceover. I didn't realize that I had 45 minutes of video, so to break that down, I needed to just get rid of some of the stuff that really does not have to be displayed. As you can see, I'm going to use the same old spoolie that I used to brush my brow. I'm just using the other end to apply the product. So as you can see, the lightest part goes on the inner brow, the innermost portion of the brow. And then you just take the medium brown and apply it to the middle of the brow, right up until where the brow begins to curve. And then you apply the darkest color, which is charcoal in my case, to the tail end of the brow, and you're just going to apply it until you're comfortable with how it looks. And then again, you take your spoolie and you fade everything together and make sure it's blended well. Alright, and just like you did your first brow, you're going to use the foundation on the bottom of your brow towards the inner portion, and then all the way on the top of your brow from the beginning to the end. And here I am taking my Tarte Shape Tape and completing the brow bone. And like I said, if you're not happy with how it's shaped, keep shaping it until you are. And the final step is to blend it all out. Right here, I'm just discussing the portion about fading. So you don't have to fade the powder as much as you do with the pencil. See, it looks faded already by itself without you having to take a brush and fade it yourself. And here is a close-up look of the brow powder versus the pencil just before we do the makeup. All right, you guys, so here you have it. We have the made up brow and the more natural looking brow. This brow is with powder. This one is with pencil. What do you think? All right, you guys, so that's it for today's video. Please drop me a comment and tell me which one of these brows you prefer, the pencil brow or the powdered brow. Whichever one is your favorite, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to drop me a comment. Don't forget to share my video. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again, guys. Have a good night.